Hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Top Tier Tiers podcast. I'm Alfred Yang, and with me, as always, I've got Thomas Sim. He's my partner in crime, so to speak.
Hello.
Uh, Today's going to be a bit more of a laid-back episode. I think we've going to start going into some more tangential topics. I think it's definitely a another side of card gaming in this part of the hobby that I think might be worth talking about. But before we get into that, what's new with you in the world of Weiss? I think you've been playing Grisaya from what I remember.
Oh yeah. I've been taking a trip down memory lane, and by that I mean I never played the deck in 2019, so now that it's back, I'm enjoying playing it again. I'm playing Grisaya because I suspect it's pretty good at the moment. Um and I've been pleasantly surprised by how
Functional it is.
functional, smooth it is for a 2019 deck in 2022. I cannot say the same thing about a lot of other decks that existed in 2019.
It's
Gonna be
quite
real.
straightforward. Just playing the whole feeding package and everything, or
Yeah. Basically playing, I'm pretty sure I'm playing with the deck.
the
It's literally the
unchanged deck.
same list. It's literally the same list. It's almost basically the same list from 2019, except for like a few new cards.
Yeah, I
Uh,
assume that Ricky improves that deck a little bit.
no, that card is not very good.
Is it a literal Ricky, or what does it do
No,
again?
it's just it's a check top four. What are we talking about? Are we talking? I wasn't aware.
There's
Actually,
a
I don't think it got a Ricky.
Isn't there a new Machina that does something?
That yeah, that's the send a memory clock top check top four add one. Not very good.
Oh, I see. I mean,
You had to
it's
run it before the unban of the bounce back Kazuki because it was like
you needed memory.
yeah, but now that you have that card back, it's not very good.
Hmm. Fair
There are
enough.
some lists I think playing around with like a small count of that card, but I honestly can't be bothered. It's not worth it. I think so. Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, it always goes to show that when something is unbanned, it is sometimes worth revisiting. I think Grisaya is probably very well placed. Unlike a certain other recently unbanned deck, which I think is probably getting a little bit too much hype.
Saikano.
Oh, how could you tell?
You know, that deck probably still feels really good to play too.
Oh, yeah, it was good before, and now you have. They're not. I don't think the replacements are as good, but they are good enough.
I
At
feel
level
like
zero.
yeah, but I also feel like the meta is a little more hostile towards it at the moment
Well,
than
yeah,
it
there's
was back in 2019. Like there are
is
plenty
that
of
true?
decks. Yeah, there are a good deal more decks that play for board a lot earlier or play like kind of the same like grindy resource a game, but do it better or do it with
I
like better
think
cards.
that I don't think it's the meta being more hostile to it rather than there just being decks that do what Saikano did but better. In fact, I think that if you were to put Saikano into any meta in the last couple of years, the relative lack of standby in this meta would actually mean this is one of its best chances to do anything, I think.
Hmm, that's
Like
fair.
I think that most decks are just better than Saikano right now. Like D-Side is better, Assault Lily is better, Gochi Usa is probably better. Grisaya isn't better, but it has an anti-heal, which makes it more worth playing, in my opinion. You know, you can
I think
keep on
yeah, anti-heal is pretty good against quite
a
a few
lot of
decks.
stuff.
Yeah, quite a few decks right now. Kana to Hololive, D-Side.
Yeah, it
Saikano
makes the
itself, ironically, is not a good is not it's not a great Grisai is not a good matchup for that deck, I think.
I
Um
think Grisaya makes a lot of decks uncomfortable. I don't know about being like a positive matchup or anything, but it certainly makes you think a little bit before just doing stuff.
yeah, that's it with me. I've also bought some Million Life cards because I told myself I wasn't gonna get baited, but I did. You know that 1/1 Azusa is pretty spicy, and
Do you want to explain the spice for anyone who hasn't
dude,
been paying
oh
attention?
my god, it's
You can
so
explain it, I reckon.
stupid. It's so
Yeah, go
it's
for it.
yeah, sure. I mean, it's just a one. It's a set one, the literal set one card, set one Idolmaster card, very old card. It's just a 1/1.
2009, I think.
Yeah, it's 2009 card design. Uh, it is fairly unremarkable, except for the fact that every time it triggers a climax, you can heal one, which sounds like an effect from Candyland or something, but like,
Well, it exists in other sets as well, just not always on like
sure,
level
yeah,
one.
yeah. This is a 1/1. It's 4,500 power, has a soul trigger for what it's worth, and it changes into level 2, a 2/2. That is not very good. So
That's a lot of useless text you're talking about. Why is this card suddenly relevant all
because
of a
you can
sudden?
give Twin Drive to it. Wow.
Turns out Twin Drive doubles the chances you have of healing at level 1.
And the card that
Wow.
gives it Twin Drive has a literal scry on play, which is
So
cool.
it's like looking 3 cards deep, and then every
Yeah.
next one is like multiple cards deep.
Yeah. And then the set has, well, it's a 2022 set. There is quite a bit of top deck manipulation that is possible. So, I could see this card getting you quote unquote free heals. Um, you know, I don't think it's going to be good, but I think it's a funny effect that I would love to take the locals and just, bring out this deck in front of someone who maybe just started playing or something. A bit of like the Zoomers, and
I feel like
tell
getting
them
more.
what happens. Here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna tell them what it does. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then I heal for the first time. They're like, what? What does that? And I tell them again what the card does, and they're gonna be like, oh my god.
I reckon
That's
your goal should be to just get 1 win with this deck. I don't think you should like that. That's all you should really rely on. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, that's what's new with me. I'm trying to do some weird stuff for locals. What have you been doing in Weiss recently?
So I don't know why I'm doing it because it's not like there are any tournaments coming up, but I have
Oh,
always liked the franchise of Danmachi, so I have bought the deck maxed because the deck does not.
wow.
The deck only contains. All right, so relatively recent innovations from Japan and also conclusions that I've come to in my testing. You don't need to run one of the most expensive signs in the set. You only need to run the level 3 finisher. Other than that, the entire set is just, it's not signed. So while on one hand that means the deck is not going to be quite as flashy, it also means that it's not actually that expensive to get. And I like playing the deck. I well recognize that it's a deck that is never going to be like tier 0 or anything, but it is a strong deck. It will be very good against, like, it's very consistent. It's very good against people who aren't like who are newer or intermediate players. It'll probably be good against them, and it smashes standby in the face. So I'm going to buy that and not have regrets about it. And after doing so, buying my cards from strictlybroken.tcg.com. I didn't use the site actually. I went through some other connections I have, but it was from Strictly Broken because suppliers
Wow.
in Australia suck. So there's not much I can do about that,
Also,
unfortunately.
they pretty sure they can't ship to you using
Who
the
can't?
website. I don't think they ship do they ship internationally from their site?
I have received shipments from Strictly Broken through the website. The last shipment I received was delayed due to COVID, and it came 7 months after I ordered it, and I had already gotten all the cards in the package from a local source since then and forgotten about it.
The
That's
best
not
kind
to
of
say
package.
anything. Not to say anything about the reliability of their shipping. It's just that COVID really messed everything up for a long time. Like most of my packages were like 3 to 4 months late. That's just what happens when you live on a prison island in the middle of nowhere. What else have I done? The new Saikano set has gotten me to try and build the Utaha deck several times because, of course, I'm going to build the best girls deck. And every time I try to do it, I come up to a deck build, get to about 30, 35 cards, and I'm so depressed that I stop because the cards are actually just terrible. They are arguably a downgrade from what I was playing before without the third set. And if I wanted to bling out the set, it would cost me so much money for 1055 Shimakaze on a standby in 2022, which is like an actual slap in the face. That card is like $800, you know? The secret rare.
I have heard that it has gone way up actually since release, which I am not super surprised by because I always thought that card. So I thought on release that card was being underpriced quite a bit. Same with the Aerie.
Yeah.
So this price increase does not surprise me. But yeah, it's
I
pretty
think
funny because pretty funny because the deck is not good. So
a large part of it is because of the scarcity of the secret rares in that set. It was, what was it, one every 6 cases or something to that tune.
yes,
So
either
like, and
one in every 5 or one in every 6. I don't
it was one
remember
in,
the exact
because
number.
because it's one in every because a master case is what, 3, and the master case is 3 cases, and it's only in one of those. Wait, oh, I don't care. It's super scarce. It's a terrible card. People are trying to play it in like a god awful choice standby build. It's like vaguely functional, but only at the level of a tier 2 to tier 3 deck at best. So I have just given up repeatedly, and that's very unfortunate because my Uta deck has very nice custom sleeves that I really like using, but I can't because the deck is terrible and I can only, like, I have a functional deck right now. It just has nothing new in it. I wanted to put new cards in it, but the deck is just so bad that I haven't gotten to that. Anyway,
That's
uh,
unfortunate.
that's kind of a good segue, actually, into talking about what today's topic will kind of be. It's going to be about card gaming peripherals, primarily sleeves. But
You
hey, look,
it's
I swear I
true.
didn't plan that. I swear I didn't
Peripherals,
plan
peripherals.
that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so it'll primarily be about sleeves as well as other things that we might use in card games. So to kick us off, I'm gonna tell a bit of a story that kind of got me to suggest this topic in the first place. So a few weeks ago, I was going to the first big paper tournament I'd been to in years and years. It was not for Weiss, it was for a different card game, but it was on the way to this tournament. I had gotten all the cards, I'd shuffled them all together, and it was really hype. I was crashing at a friend's place, going to go from there to the tournament grounds. One of the best parts of going to big tournaments is going with friends and testing with them and doing all of that. So I had everything done, everything put together. I had my water pre-bought. I had some chocolate bars in my bag. But when I was looking through my bag to make sure I had everything the night before, I found that the sleeves I was going to use were 2 sleeves short. And it's not overly surprising to me because, like, these sleeves I kind of used for all purpose. They were Dragon Shield mats, and I used them for drafting, for Magic the Gathering, and whenever I pulled a money card at drafts, I put them in one of those sleeves and just kind of left them somewhere I'd remember to find them. So it wasn't surprising that I was short 2 sleeves. So I start complaining about this to my friend because it's like 11 p.m. on a Sunday and obviously nowhere's going to be open, and because it's Australia and we're still kind of in COVID, there's probably not going to be many vendors in the place. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to get up early, I'm going to have to go to to a card store, and he's like, "Oh no, wait for a moment. I have some spare sleeves you could borrow." So he goes and he gets me some sleeves, and he hands them to me, and I grimace. And I get how like privileged and ungrateful and awful that is to be the reaction to someone handing you a pack of sleeves. And sleeves aren't even cheap. They're like here they're like $12 to $15 for a pack of 75 to 80.
Such a
Dragon
diva.
Shields. Yeah, Dragon Shields cost a little more. But anyway, the reason I grimaced was because he handed me forest green KMC Hypermats.
What a
Now,
diva.
I used to be a big fan of KMCs. I'm talking back in 2012, 2013. They were the go-to sleeve for me. I would stock up and literally buy them in bulk because I would use nothing else. But
Dude.
around 2015, there was a noticeable change in the quality of the KMC Hypermats. They went from being perfect, non-scuff, easy to shuffle, not slippery at all, to these kind of half-baked, sometimes miscut. Like the texture was there, but nothing else about the card feel, the sleeve feel was there. And I became disillusioned, and I rocketed around to a bunch of different sleeves,
Oh
sleeve
my
brands, trying to find a good one.
god.
This is where I'm going, and like I'm like, do you really KMC Hypermats? And he's like, no, dude, I get it, because this is a friend I've known for ages and ages. He's a big card game player. He has his card preference as well, but he's probably not as much of a diva as I am. Let's put it that way.
That's for
So
sure.
yeah,
I don't
uh,
come on, bro.
yeah, so I'm like, all right, fine. I'll use these sleeves. Thank you for the sleeves. I'm grateful, but I'm not grateful, if you know what I mean. So I sleeve my deck up, and it is slippery as all hell, and my cards fall to the ground, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be what it's like all day. But here's the funny thing. The next day at the tournament, they shuffled quite well. They felt quite good. I'm not someone who flicks cards very often, but in at the times I was, and I was flicking cards because Pokemon is a game where you don't actually do very much on your opponent's turn except think. They were good. They didn't fall apart. It fit well in my deck box. It was good. They were non-scuff. So I have come around on KMC Hypermats as of a few weeks ago. I think that I'm okay with them now. I no longer have issues with at least the forest green ones. I haven't tried the other colors. I don't think that's going to matter, but at this point, I'm accepting KMC Hypermats if someone has them and nothing else.
Oh my
I still
god.
prefer. We can talk about our preferences, but it was that experience which led me to think, oh, sleeve choice is interesting because
Dude.
a year ago I would not have gone with KMC Hypermats. I just would say nope, go away. I'm gonna buy these. I'm gonna buy these Eclipses. There's less of them and they cost more, but they shuffle better, and I'd much rather have them. Or I'll buy the Dragon Shields. They're worse value, but KMC suck. It just goes to show you should well, first of all, if someone hands you a pack of sleeves, don't do what I did. Don't look the gift horse in the mouth. Just take the damn sleeves, shuffle them up, and be grateful. But I think more importantly, if someone has a an act of charity, just accept it. If it's that sort of thing. Anyway, so with that out of the way, my not short but also not drastically long story, we'll get to talking about actual sleeve choices and well let's preface it, right? Because this is Weiss Schwarz. This is a very different game. What circumstances are you going to use non-patterned, nondescript comfort sleeves for? Like, when do you use these?
Those? Oh man, it's been a long time, actually. Uh you're asking me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When I think is the appropriate time to use just like regular colored sleeves?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the real answer, the actual answer is anytime. Um,
Yes.
but I think when I use them, it's usually because uh I'm proxying something or I'm using like my I don't care about uh protecting the deck I'm using that as much. It sounds bad, but I usually don't use regular sleeves that much anymore. Um that's mostly a preference thing. I think arguably for a tournament, single sleeve like using like single sleeves like that is probably the best choice. Because when you double sleeve, it makes the deck pretty big and slightly unwieldy. So unless you have huge hands, I would say um, the regular sleeves are probably optimal for a tournament setting. Because they're cheap, they're everywhere. You can usually buy some at the venue in case something happens to the sleeves that you're using, which is not going to be the case for something you use that's like custom or you know um specific, like
Mhm.
even like an official character sleeve. If something happens to like your set, it's probably not going to be at the venue, so you'll be forced to change to a different set of sleeves anyways. So yeah, I think so. Generally, um, when availability is the most important thing, um, when you care about you know spending less money, I would say also. Not that that's like a knock on people preferring to spend less on their card supplies, but uh, they are cheaper, so
Mm.
they're cheaper than character sleeves and oversleeves. So
I think you hit the nail on the head, really. The first and foremost reason that I would use these sleeves in like a in Weiss specifically is if I'm testing a deck where I want to be able to slide cards in and out quickly and not care about breaking sleeves, and not really care about the cards.
yeah,
Like you say, um, there's a difference between sleeving a minimum rarity deck out of a Hololive playset that you just bought and sleeving a max rarity Fate Stay Night deck. Like, if you have a max rarity deck, that implies you've already done the testing. You don't need to change out cards except for special occasions. So you're not going to need the ease of
yeah,
replaceability or movement or anything like that. So if you're testing and you want to get together a deck quickly and the card value is not particularly high, then single sleeved regular um basic sleeves from like any card store are an invaluable resource to have. And while I normally have sleeves on hand since the pandemic started, I've gone through most of my supply just kind of building random decks. So I have like a bunch of half-open packs of sleeves here and there. And at some point in the future, I'm probably going to buy a bunch on sale and restock my supply of sleeves like that. But basically, when you're testing, when you just want to get a deck together for a tournament, and when it's a deck you don't have a huge amount of personal investment in, I think these sleeves are really the go-to.
yeah. Like that time,
Uh,
I remember I bought a set like one Springfest. It was before Springfest was a trios event. Uh, I literally bought a Sao deck from somebody at the venue because not like off the cuff. Like we knew we were gonna be there, so we arranged it that way. But like I bought a deck from him, bought the deck from the person, and it came in like white Dragon Shield mats, and I just used that for the tournament. Like I was gonna play the Sao deck for the tournament, and I ended up just using those sleeves because that's what they came in.
I remember one time I did a similar thing. I don't normally do this because I just don't normally buy full decks very often. But one time I bought a deck and it came in these Pokemon Center sleeves. So if
Oh,
you've ever been to Pokemon Center in like the US or Japan, they sell packs of sleeves because obviously Pokemon has a trading card game as well. Pokemon Center sleeves are terrible. They split
are
very
they?
easily. Yes, they
Wait,
are
wait, wait.
absolutely terrible. Some of the worst sleeves I've ever used.
Do they?
They are
You know why they come in 64 count?
because they split.
Oh,
What what did you think?
I I don't know. I thought it was a weird number because
So well, technically in Japan they don't come in 64. They come in
They do.
32.
They do.
Uh,
I just
in
got a
Japan?
set. Yeah, I just got a set of Japanese Pokemon Center like Cynthia sleeves because I'm a Coomer, and
Oh
it
yeah,
came in.
sure.
It, there's
64 did it?
64. Yeah, pack of 64.
Yeah, I mean, they used to come in 32 when I went there in person, but sure, 64. It's because they split really easily. The only sleeves I've
I kind of
used
want to
that are worse. Sorry?
test it right now.
Yeah, sure. Just shuffle them single sleeved, and after like
Oh,
10 or so games, they just go to shit. You
oh,
need
I
to play
was.
them with over sleeves. Like, you
I
need to
meant I
have,
was
like,
just gonna pull one apart like right now
oh, I mean,
and
sure,
see
do
how
what you want,
easily.
but like, single, like, single impact or like single trauma versus wear and tear is a different thing as well, you know? Like, um, pulling apart a dragon shield is hard, but like, those aren't less durable than KMCs, which are easier to pull apart. Like that's not really the metric that you should be using, I don't think. But like anyway, back to it. The deck I bought had Pokemon Center Lily sleeves on them, which now they sell for a lot actually, but like
Lily, I'm a
yeah,
Lily
Lily.
fan.
Yeah, look, the deck was given to me with Lily sleeves on it, and
Likely story.
I knew that these sleeves were just absolutely abhorrent. So I took them off the deck and sleeved them in some I can't remember, probably white eclipses or something at the time. And and eventually I transferred that deck over to some nicer sleeves that of some other variety. But anyway, that's another thing that you touched on earlier, availability. That's another good reason to use sleeves like that. Now I know some
Sorry,
amounts of people listening.
I
What
just
happened?
recorded myself pulling apart the sleeve, and
What happened? Did it come apart?
yeah, it split like butter, man. It like barely lasted even like a millisecond. Actually, I just like
Let
started
me
pulling, and it just ripped.
like I said, you need
Oh
to
my
double sleeve
god.
your Pokemon Center sleeves. The only sleeves that are worse quality that I've ever used, aside from like Dollar Tree sleeves type things, are like the Ultra Pro portrait sleeves, which are also very terrible.
Are those like printed ones?
Yes, the printed ones. I
Okay,
used to
okay.
have a set. I had a set. A friend gave them to me as like a present of some sort. I think it was might have been Secret Santa, and it was a 80 pack of black sleeves with the old Doge meme on them.
Sure.
And for a while, that was what my fairy tale deck was sleeved in because I mean I'm playing English fairy tale. I'm kind of a meme, right? And they shuffled really badly. They scuffed super bad. Stuff got stuck to them like no tomorrow, and we can talk about that in a little bit as well. But anyway, yeah. So a lot of people listening probably just use these sleeves because they cost like $5 or $6, and character sleeves cost 3 times that much. And that's totally respectable. That's fair. We're not looking to change anyone's mind about that. Just keep using Dragon Shields, keep using KMCs or what have you. They're better sleeves, all things considered.
Guys,
But
it
as
is not worth it to keep up with double sleeving
with
everything,
character,
actually.
no, it
Honestly,
is not.
it is
It
just
is
not
not.
worth it.
I started off double sleeving most of my decks. Like my very first deck was it was a Melty Blood deck, and it came in really old Rin Tosaka sleeves, like with using original visual novel art. And I thought they were really neat, so I went and bought some. I went and bought double sleeves for them, and I double sleeved that deck. And then the next deck I bought, I opened from boosters, and I put all the shiny cards I opened into the booster into the deck, which was like it was Little Buster's Ecstasy, I think. And I double sleeved that as well because it's like I want to protect my cards. They're shiny, they must be valuable, right? I'm fairly sure that the foils I opened are now worth 50 yen. But back then I was like a kid who loved shiny stuff, right? And then after you get a certain number of decks, you just don't want to spend the extra $15 or whatever on oversleeves. You don't want to bulk buy Z's just to put them on decks. It's like, have you ever sleeved a board game? Like a board game
Oh
with
god,
cards?
no. Well,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Yes, I have. It's so annoying. It's
Exactly.
so
It's like
annoying.
that. are like spread out and a chore, and you just don't care about it eventually. And that's another good reason to use like non-character sleeves that are durable, and you can just single sleeve. You just don't want to bother.
You also need to like spend a bit of time keeping the freshly double sleeve deck under some kind of compression, simply because like the air gets trapped when you sleeve. It's just like inevitable. There's like no way to prevent this. I'm pretty sure, no easy way. They like kind of balloon because the air's trapped and it can't get out, so you have to like, you know, kind of smush the deck for like a few overnight or something. I usually put it underneath like a heavy object overnight.
My recommendation is you know those fold up deck boxes Bushiroad used to give you?
Sure. The like small ones, the really small ones.
There's a lot of the Bang Dream one.
The Heat of Card Games.
50 card double sleeve deck fits almost perfectly into one of those in an extremely cramped way. So you just leave a double sleeve deck in one of those for a few days. That gets all the air out.
Oh, I don't like doing that anymore because dang. So I had an incident. So like the plastic tabs on those can like actually dent the inners, which is kind of crazy. Like, yeah, it actually happened to me recently at Springfest. I almost got DQ'd because so I had to like re-sleeve. I was a little unclear on the custom sleeve rule. You have to use officials for official events. Please use official sleeves for official events so you don't have to go through this. But basically, I re-sleeved my deck in officials like the night before, and I didn't realize that at the time, like one of the sleeves had like a very, very, very slight like crease. It was like a very, very slight crease. I did not notice it. But obviously, when the judge does a deck check, they will notice it. They noticed it. Head judge got called. Head judge was like, I can barely tell what's going. Like, I can barely tell that this exists. So it's like, whatever. It was like no big deal. But it was pretty scary to be deck checked for top 8 and have, have a judge tell you that one of your sleeves could be marked, right? You don't want to have that happen. But basically, like, yeah, like the inner just got dented somehow.
An interesting strategy, admitting to marking your cards for top 8.
I did not mark my cards. You know what else I learned about sleeves that day? I've been using Overguard Yanomon Z's for like as long as I've been playing Weiss, essentially, right?
You and everyone else, yeah.
I did not know there is a right side. They have like 2 different sides to the Z's. And if you sleeve one of them like backwards, it completely throws it all. It like seems like taller than the others, depending. Like, it's so weird. It was so strange. Basically, what happened was one of my sleeves, I guess I accidentally like, I wasn't paying attention when I was re-sleeving, and I sleeved it like the other direction. The head judge was able to consistently pick out that one card every single time from like a blind shuffle because it was on the wrong way.
That's good to know.
And Ryan Wibbs, our guest from 2 episodes ago, he actually told me, he was the one who actually saw this happening, and he clarified to us, he had learned this from June, that Z's just have like 2 different sides. So when you sleeve your cards, your deck in Z's, you have to make sure they're all facing the same way. Otherwise, you could get accused of marking, which is not where you want to be. But yeah, I learned that about Z's.
Yeah, on that note, let's talk. Let's talk about oversleeves. Oversleeves are a thing that like are not actually standard in most card games. Most card games do not bother. If people refer to double sleeving in other games,
they usually mean inners, right? Perfect fits. Yeah. Inner,
inners, followed by a normal sleeve on the outside.
Yep.
Because the point of sleeves in most card games is to protect the cards, obviously. But the thing is, in Weiss, where you
uh,
are playing a game where not only are you showing off your devotion via your deck, but also your deck peripherals, some people
yes,
want to protect
sir.
their sleeves. They have expensive sleeves. Some of them go for 50, 60, even over $100 nowadays.
Oh,
Some people have really nice custom sleeves, which you kind of want to protect, and some amount of custom sleeves are so awful to use without oversleeves that you just need to oversleeve them. But that's
yes,
just kind of a weird thing in Weiss, right? Like because no other card
yes.
game does this.
Weiss players are weirdos. I've learned this through interacting with people who play other games. Yes. Uh,
Yes.
I do actually quite like I do actually quite like the feel of regular sleeves with a perfect fix inside. I
Yeah,
think
that's
that is
well.
honestly, yeah, it's like honestly really nice. And the only reason why I don't commit to doing that is because I like
You are a weirdo.
sleeves. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So some people in Weiss do use inners. I have bought decks from people and they've come in inners.
Yep.
Some of them are really you can't even buy them in Australia. You have to buy them online, but there are the nice side loading inners. Those ones are really nice
Oh,
because there's less friction applied when you insert them, simply because there's less distance to travel. The chance
yes.
of your cards being damaged is technically a bit lower. I dispute that reasoning to some degree, but that's how it was explained to me once. Plus, protecting the cards is just nice, especially if you intend to get resale value for them. It's better to have cards in inner
Ah,
sleeves.
yes.
That being said, I would not recommend inner sleeving, regular sleeving, and then also outer
Oh,
sleeving.
it's so
That
bad.
is
Okay, I
it's
tried that
terrible.
once. I tried that once with just like a random deck. It was actually Million Lives at one. I tried it just because I at that point in time I had recently bought some Perfect Fits. Um, I would never recommend it ever. It made
So,
I one I couldn't use these. Like I found out like I just could not use these because it's just impossible. Like they're just way too like the sleeve is just way too thick. So I had to use like some matte broccolis. Well, and by the way, rip broccoli. Apparently those are
yeah, they're
discontinued now.
discontinued. Mm.
So if you have any unopened packs, you're sitting on some stonks.
Get upgraded.
But basically, it was just so unwieldy. It was so the triple sleeved product, the final product, ended up being so bad to use that I just stopped playing the deck too. Like, and I was too lazy to like unsleeve it because to get like because like to get it not triple sleeved, I would have to like
Yeah, you'd
get
have to
the
do a
overs
lot.
off, get the character sleeves off, then I get the inners out, and then I have to like I'm good, man. I don't want to do that, so I just stopped playing the deck. Uh,
I would advise people to triple sleeve in one situation and one only. If you are playing with the Gigant rares, and you have a full
nice.
deck of Gigant rares, then you can sleeve them in regular sleeves, over sleeves, and then oversized jumbo board game sleeves for the full, completely insufferable to shuffle experience.
Wait, how big do those
Otherwise,
get? How big do those get? Those jumbo ones?
uh, they get pretty big because they you
Can you
need big
put
ones.
can
Hmm?
you put the jumbo Pokemon cards? Do they get as big as
No,
those?
no, no. They don't get
Oh,
they don't
okay.
get that big.
Okay.
They only get to like have you played Seven Wonders?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, like that big. Cards about that big,
Wait,
which
I
is
have not.
about as big. Okay, that's fine. So it's
I'm
like
looking up. I'm looking up though.
a double sleeved card will probably fit into one of those fairly well, basically. But
Oh,
since
I see.
Gigant rares are freaking massive to begin with and don't fit into perfect fits for obvious reasons, you just do normal sleeve over sleeve and then jumbo sleeve.
I see.
Anyway, that's a stupid novelty point, but oversleeves they're pretty useful if you want to protect your regular sleeves, and I know a lot of people do because especially in the age of waifu decks, whether it's Quince or Rent a Girlfriend or look, take your pick. Really, there's so many of them. Nisekoi. I'm sure there's nice sleeves for every set out there. It's worth thinking about them, and maybe we will. You know what? At the end of this class, we can give a personal ranking of products that we prefer.
Sure.
I think that'd be fun. All right. So perfect fits, I'm just not used to using in Weiss. One reason I do use them or have seen them used is when people have like mostly foil or somewhat high rarity customization kits they tote around. So like people have decks and then they have a bunch of spares in the deck box or something like that. Instead of just putting the raw cards in the deck, or having them in the same sleeves where you can get them confused, people have them in perfect fits in the deck box. So if you want to
Mm,
swap cards out, you can, and you are already someone who plays with perfect fits,
right.
then you can just put them in easily, or you can take them out the perfect fit, put them in the regular sleeve, and then put the card you're replacing in the perfect fit.
Wait, that's so
Uh,
nice.
yeah, it's one way I've seen people go about things. When it came to Magic, when I
Mm.
used to maintain an active Commander collection, I would do this because I play my Commander decks single sleeved with perfect fits, and all of like the random $20 rares that are like I have and are playable in my deck, but are not in my deck currently because, to be honest, they're probably really bad cards. I just keep them in the big deck box with perfect fits on to minimize the damage to my $20 cards. And if I ever think about putting the cards back in, they're right there for me, I suppose. So that's another use of perfect fits I've found.
One of my fears is whenever I'm sleeving is accidentally damaging the card that I'm sleeving. That is like nightmare fuel for me. Mm,
Yeah, I used to play a lot of piano because I'm a second gen Asian in a Western country. Of course, I play piano. So I don't think I've ever had that problem. I also shuffle a lot more gently than other people, but it definitely seems like something you'd be worried about, right? Because like you damage a card, it's no longer playable, the value goes down, and this is especially problematic if you play with high rarity cards.
dude,
That's
it
like
just feels bad. No matter
that's
what,
terrifying.
no matter what, even like if we're just talking about the money, regardless of the money, it just feels bad to like look at damaged card that you damaged and like it's your fault. You know, I feel like there's something primal
Yeah.
to looking at something that you damaged yourself and just feeling really bad about it because um
Yeah, like
yeah.
imagine you put a card you just bought in your pocket and you go into your
Hmm.
car and you start the car and then when you get out, the card has fallen out and it is like wedged itself in your chair. And as you get out, you put a lot of pressure on the card.
Uh-oh.
And when you get back to your car and you see this massive crease in your card you just paid, I don't know, $15 for, that feels awful.
You know what also
That
feels
is
awful?
terrible.
What your story just
Tell
reminded me of? Imagine
tell me.
winning one of your local events and getting a winner's promo cost what's her
Oh
name?
no, this
Kurumi.
is bullying. This is
Imagine
bullying.
imagine going through all the effort to test and, choose a deck to do well at your local event and you win the card that you've been working for so long, then you forget it in your jacket and it goes through the laundry. But at least you have a nice easy way to farm some likes on global, you know?
That
But yeah, feels bad,
that
man.
that reminds me.
I can't imagine that ever happening. That would be
Why,
crazy. That would be so crazy.
we're not going to name any names, but there certainly may have been someone
That
who
card
did
is like
that
five
once
hundred
upon a time.
dollars. I don't even know. That card's more. Oh my god, it was like a
It's
thousand
around. It
dollars or
is
something.
on average. It's like around 500ish.
Is it really?
I learned another thing when I used to play because I used to just play Weiss where there wasn't like a dedicated store or anything. I used to just play with like in a store with other players. And one time I was playing the game, and then after I'd like done some deck replacements and stuff, and and I had my spares just sitting on the side. And I remember I was playing a Clannad deck, and Clannad's a very old set, but more importantly, Clannad has an extra booster, which means that it has cards that are like the exact same rarity as the exact same art as what you already have, but in foil.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some foil cards sitting there on the side, and some Magic players came by just to kind of look at the game and see what was going on. And as I was playing, I noticed that one of my foils, and this is going to sound really stupid because the card is not very good or anything. It's a 2,500 on your turn gets 1,000 power. That's all it is. It's a level 0. It was a Nagisa, I believe, and it had gone missing from like the side. And I noticed these things because like I'd just taken the card out, and the Magic player had rolled up my Nagisa into like a little cigarette-y shape and was playing with it. And
No.
I was like, what are you doing with my card? And he's like, oh, did you need this? It's just a foil, right? And that was the day I learned that Magic players don't value foils at all.
No.
Yep. The card was not worth like enormous amounts of money. The guy was not remorseful and just kind of walked off. But it's- I was really angry that day. Like I was outraged that
Dude,
someone would do that.
that's so
Um,
that's insane. I'm
yeah.
dumbfounded.
But do take care of your cards. Don't leave them out in the open, otherwise things like that could happen. Uh, I think that you know what's funny? I think that until like the power up pack came, Clannad still played that card. Like it was actually one of its best level 0 yellow options.
Um,
Anyway, I still have my master playset. I'm not too fussed anymore, but that burned my blood at the time. I forget what we were talking about, but let's get back on track and talk about some other peripherals, shall we? How about deck boxes?
yeah. All right. So deck
So
boxes. I'm less
there's a big
I'm not very
go.
particular actually about this. So I understand you, however, have some vintage specimens.
Oh, look, I at this point I just collect those really. I don't really use them very much. Cause like to begin with, I was definitely someone who wanted all their deck boxes to be thematic. It started out with
Ah,
like it started out because I was a broke college kid at the time. I didn't have that much money. I would just get the $4 Ultra Pro deck boxes and I would match the color to the dominant color of the deck. So my Melty Blood deck went in a red deck box, and my Little Busters deck went in a blue deck box, and my Persona 4 Junes deck into a yellow deck box because those are the colors that the decks play. And
yep.
then I found out that they make character deck boxes, and back in the day, back in the day, this was a little bit more impressive than it is now, where everyone knows about character deck boxes, and they're actually, in many cases, cheaper than sleeves. Uh, let's just say I have like a pile of shame in my closet, which is just a big stack of character deck boxes. About two-thirds of them have decks in them, but the rest are just deck boxes of characters I like. Some of them aren't even in Weiss. Some of them have nothing to do with Weiss whatsoever. But there's this massive pile of deck boxes that I'm probably never going to use. A lot of them are sealed. Some of them are vintage and worth quite a bit of money actually because they're really nice deck boxes actually. They're you know the ones I'm talking about, the double deck boxes from way
Yeah,
back in
the
the
ones
day.
they don't really make anymore.
They literally don't make them anymore. The closest thing they have are really cheap knockoffs, but
I think the
they
new
used
Grail deck box product are the faux leather ones. I think those are like
uh
pretty sought after. After the
if you
fact,
don't
at the moment.
yeah, if you don't have a if you don't keep an eye on like events in Japan or don't have access to Yahoo auctions or Mercari or what have you, then yeah, the faux leather deck boxes are really sought after.
They
I
make
didn't
well, broccoli makes official ones, like licensed ones, and those actually have pretty good resale value if you keep them sealed.
those ones aren't faux leather though, are they? They're like plush, aren't they?
No, they're faux leather.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it
they are
definitely
they?
it definitely like ages like faux leather. Like
Mm,
I have like the old one of the original, like when they started doing that. I have like an old REM one that I've just used. a lot.
Mm.
Uh, and it definitely feels like faux leather, not a plush. So
I bulk bought a bunch of the rip-off Rem ones when they first released in like a random Japanese event. They weren't expensive. They were like less than $10 each after conversion, 10 USD. I mean, I bought a bunch of them just as like presents for friends. And now I found out that they've kind of spiked in value a little bit. Not that I'm gonna resell or anything, but I guess what you're saying is right. They've just gone up in value.
people like them as like you know,
Yeah. I
PC.
mean, rarity is another thing, right? Like some of the rarest deck boxes I have are just not actually particularly valuable. Like I've got I wouldn't call it a grail or anything, but I would call it a chase piece. I have a Lucky Star deck box from like 2006. It was a fold-up deck box released in a card gaming magazine at the time. And Lucky Star was not in any card game at the time. It wasn't in Weiss until like 2010, I believe. But it's like a fold-up deck box that I just picked up off Yahoo Auctions one day for I think like $5. At that time, I was still using bad proxy services. I remember thinking that all the fees cost way more than the deck box. But since then, it's like it's not something I've ever seen until June of all people posted about it like a year ago saying he'll pay well, like not an enormous sum, like $40, $50 for it or something. And yeah, it's like that's maybe the rarest piece I have. I have a bunch of the double deck boxes as well, but I don't know how rare they are. Like I have the Fate Stay Night one, that one's sealed. I have the Nadeko one. I have three of the Little Busters ones, but they're all opened. I had the Senjo Gaha one, but I sold it. And I've got the Clannad one, which most people barely know exists, which is nice, I guess.
I only
But
have
these
the
days,
rewrite one.
yeah, that one's nice as well. They did a couple of those for rewrite, and I think that one might have been the last series that they did, the Lucia and Shizuru ones.
Mm-hmm.
I think those were the last ones they released. Anyway, nowadays I just kind of put decks in whatever box vaguely fits. Like it's actually at the point where I forget what decks are in what deck boxes. Like I'm looking in my room right now. The Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann deck box has a Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann deck in it. That is fairly obvious. But the Utaha deck box, I don't know what deck is in that because I know that my Utaha deck is in a different deck box, and my actual Saikano deck is in yet another different deck box. I have no idea what I'm looking at over there. That's the point at which I've reached. But I think it is important if you want to just protect your cards. The big deck boxes aren't actually the way to go unless you can fit multiple decks in them. The damage that you sustain is from when, like, if your deck box is in your bag, or hell, if it's even in your pocket, or anything like that. And oh my god, if you put in like a travel chest and check it in an airport or something, you have to make sure that is nice and packaged well. Because a lot of the damage from cards doesn't necessarily come from you shuffling or whatever, are unless you riffle or waterfall shuffle or just a very rough card handler. A lot of the damage is just in transit. When it's in your bag and the cards are like rattling around, you want to make sure that cards fit. And to do that, you want to either pad it out with extra sleeves, or you want to make sure that the empty space is filled up. So some of the bigger deck boxes, you can actually put two single sleeve decks in, and that fills it up to the point it can't rattle around. That's something I didn't figure out for quite some time, so a lot of my earlier cards are really banged up as a result. But there is a really big difference if you think about these things and you actually care about your cards. If you don't care about your cards, then just do whatever. I'm not your dad. I'm not going to tell you different, but it is important to make sure your deck boxes fit. Uh, yeah, and I always forget that this is another peripheral that everyone else has because I don't use these, but playmats.
Oh,
What are your opinions on
I have so
playmats?
many playmats. Um, honestly, uh, I don't really. Let's see. I used to be pretty. So like, there's this like product that has popped up recently, in like the last couple of years. That I used to think was like kind of lame, but now I just use them. Like I just use them, and it's like a playmat cover. They're basically they're literally like a Ziploc bag essentially. That's like the best way I can describe it for someone who's never seen one of these. They're basically like a Ziploc bag with like one end, it literally has like a Ziploc like thing on it. One side is matte, and the other side is like kind of like slightly tacky, clear like plastic. And I have come. That is like, and the reason why I like these now is because I have a lot of Dojin mats, and a lot of artists and circles sell playmats, right? But they sell them in such unusable sizes that for a long time, for a long time now, for maybe like a few years, I don't even actually use a lot of the playmats I buy because they're just too small to justify using over something that is just like bigger surface area. Especially because Weiss has a lot of zones. It is so annoying to play on a small playmat that does not have enough space for your cards. So, but using these products, you can actually kind of artificially increase the amount of space you have to play on, which makes me appreciate them a lot more. Because now I can use some of the nicer playmats that I have that are just like too small on their own. So yeah, I think, back to the original question, I just think playmats should be large enough to play on at the bare minimum. And any way you can make them more usable is nice. And that's why I like playmat covers.
The purpose of a playmat is to protect your cards from from whatever it is that the table you're putting the playmat on may have on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the old times, and look, I was not there in the old times. Like I wasn't there when Magic cards first came out or anything. But back then, I'm pretty sure that if you were to just pick a random table in a gaming store, it'd probably be pretty nasty, I think. And
They
I don't
still
think
are
that's
kind of nasty. So
yeah, yeah. I don't think that's necessarily the case today. Most gaming stores I go to at least attempt to be clean, or if they don't attempt to be clean, they have like draped stuff over the tables, whether it's stuff from other card games, whether it's their own play mats, whether it's advertising mats or something. Hell, I think one of the places that was attached to a cafe, they just had laminated menus on all their play tables, which was kind of neat. Every time you go to make a play, you look and see a drinks menu. That's probably pretty intelligent advertising. But in this day and age, while it's better, I think I do agree with you. A lot of places are still natty, and this applies to public play spaces as well. Like if a hall is rented out, like God knows what these tables were used for before. Like maybe it was used for an eating contest, maybe it was used for a drawing contest, maybe something completely ridiculous that I can't even fathom had happened before. There's one card store that I used to frequent, and the only reason I don't frequent it anymore is because I don't live in the area. Do you want to guess what it used to be before it became a card store?
a restaurant.
Now, the context of okay, restaurant's a good guess, but it was a cabaret, like an actual high class strip club type place.
Okay. All
So
right.
yeah,
So
so you can think
nice.
about why you may or may not want to play mat in that sort of place.
Nice. Also ratio plus L plus gross and all right. Those tables
Yeah.
well actually maybe those tables are just cleaned more often than other tables in other places because
Oh, I know the
the
Earth is very
context.
hygienic, but like the idea, right? The idea is what matters. So I can see why people use playmats. I don't use playmats because I travel really light. I have a deck box. I maybe have a dice tower,
That
and I
is the
have a pen.
most that is the most annoying thing about playmats is traveling with them. Especially yeah, I mean there's nothing else to say
If you
about
have
it
if
from
you have a
me.
full on bag, like if you are going interstate and you're carrying your bag around and you don't trust the motel you're at, so your bag has like your iPad, your passport, everything else in there, then sure, have a playmat tube, or you can just have a playmat with one of those playmat covers you mentioned before.
You
Where do you
cannot put
buy
those in
those,
a
by the
tube. You
way?
can't put those in a tube.
Yeah, they're too thick for a tube, but like, where do you buy
Uh,
those?
I get them from they sell them in Japan. I have gotten them from people who have gotten them from Japan. I have no idea
Yeah.
where I would buy them on my own actually at the moment. I should probably
So
ask actually.
my two playmat covers, or as some people call them, playmat condoms, because that they really kind of do. I mean, it's evocative, right? The two I have, one
Yeah.
is one that I picked up when I bought a playmat in Japan, so it just came with a playmat cover, and the other is like a really janky one. There's another card game called Lychee, which does trade-ins for playmats, and one of the playmats you can, and the playmats you get from there come with playmat covers. They're not like the nice ones you have. They're just literally like
Yeah, like a plastic
plastic
wrapper. Yeah,
a
okay.
plastic cover, and that's another one of the ones I use. And in fact, that's what I used when I played in some of the webcam tournaments a couple years back. But I also don't know where you'd buy those. I assume you'd go to Southeast Asia somewhere, or you'd find them on like Taobao or something, is what I'd guess. But uh, I think that aside from just being a nice thing to allow you to play your smaller playmats, people have nice playmats, right? That's another part of how they express themselves, you know?
They do. And playmats, yeah. There's like a lot of nice things that people do with playmats too. I don't know if you've seen like the ones that have like foil stickers on them
Oh
to
yeah.
like create like enhanced effects and whatever. Those are nice.
Hmm.
But yeah, people definitely. I feel like people go more all out for playmats than they do for sleeves at the moment. Um,
Yeah, I think that I don't really understand it myself. There's probably some psychology behind it, but there are definitely playmats that are a lot more risque than any sleeves I've seen. Uh, like,
yeah,
I don't really understand it myself. I think that if I saw someone playing with either risque sleeves or a risque playmat, I would think the exact same thing. But people seem a lot more okay with risque playmats, maybe because they're just easier to come by. Custom playmat places are more frequently found, I suppose.
yeah. I mean, you also. I was gonna say something with Pokemon, but maybe not. Maybe there are no. Maybe you play in a locals where you don't actually have kids, but like, I have had to refrain from bringing some playmats to one of my locals that just started up recently. That's mainly because they have like a Pokemon League where they have
Yep.
a bunch of kids, and
Mm,
you know,
bit too risque.
I don't think their parents would appreciate it if you know
No.
there are a bunch of
I
adults nearby with what's basically softcore porn pictures on playmat. So
pretty much.
I stick to basically using like kind of like official mats when I go to that locals. Um, I don't really use lewd sleeves, so there's that. I guess
I don't know anyone who does, to be honest. Like,
there's some interesting stories about those, specifically
yeah.
in combination with certain oversleeves. Um,
I think I know which ones you're talking about. The ones where
uh,
the, yeah, we don't
there
necessarily need to
are
get into those.
there are some stories that it's some unfortunate stories I've heard, specifically with like new players getting a certain impression
I
from
think
people who
my
use sleeves
fa-
like that.
yeah, you have to go out of your way to buy sleeves that work like that. Like patterned oversleeves are really cool, but they're not very profitable because they just don't work with a lot of other things. I mean, we can talk more about them in a little bit, but I think the coolest playmat that I have ever seen, and one I would actually like to own. I don't care about playmats for the most part. I have two custom playmats that I alternate between for events. And for events I just don't really care about, but people want me to use a playmat app, I go and get one of my... Oh, look, I probably have literally nearly 50 official Pokemon playmats. I just get one of those and just use that. Because Pokemon does that for every vaguely large event. They give you a playmat, they give you some really terrible sleeves. Okay, when I said that Ultra Pro pattern sleeves are bad,
Yeah.
I forgot about this. The official sleeves that they give you for Pokemon, the ones they've given you ever since Heart Gold Soul Silver have released, are actually the worst sleeves I've ever used. There was a point in Pokemon where the Pokemon League sleeves they gave you, and I specifically remember there were some really nice Lucario silhouette sleeves. There were some really nice Cresselia ones. Those were good, but ever since it's gone into the era of like the black and white onwards, I'd say maybe Heart Gold or Silver onwards, those sleeves are actually the worst ones I've used. Like, I would probably, like, if someone said, okay, so scenario 2 a.m., I have a tournament, I don't have sleeves for my deck. If someone offered me regional sleeves from a Pokemon event, I would actually rather take my chances and hope there's a vendor at the event. That's how bad these sleeves are. Where was I? The nicest playmat I've ever seen are the Pokemon Center novelty playmats. Those are really cool, they're really cute as well, and they're very high quality. Especially if you get the stitched ones. Those are really nice.
I feel like official playmats in general are pretty nice. I
Yeah.
have honestly zero complaints about any like pick your brand, Bushiro, Broccoli, Movic. Any like official playmats, they're super nice. And they
My
come in
Lychee playmat is really nice, yeah.
and they usually come in like usable sizes, and by usable I mean like big. Which is always super
Do
nice.
you
Huh?
do you remember when Nisekoi first released? There was a big playmat with the four mangoes on it. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Maybe. I know I I don't think I remember this playmat. I there's another playmat I know about that's Nisekoi that's like kind of sought after now, but I don't remember this one with the four girls.
Hmm. It was just the four girls with the art they have on the uh what is it called? Maiden's Heart cards. But that was a nice playmat. I bought it. It's somewhere in the garage. But it was really nice to play on while I had it. Anyway, uh that's playmats. Now, have
Wait,
you ever
have you
used
seen?
any...
Wait. Let me show you. Let me show you a playmat. It's
What am I being shown? Is this your playmat or...
no, it's from a old, very old video from San Diego Weiss locals. Uh oh God, it's so good. It's so good. Here we go. Oh! Is it on screen? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna share screen with you.
Okay.
Wait,
I
is
mean,
this it?
I can't...
Here you go.
Oh, good God.
Look at it. It's so.
Look, that's one way to express your fondness for a celebrity.
Oh my god. It's so good. Oh, I love. Wait. I'm gonna mute it. Oh, this is a girlfriend beta. Oh, okay. This is a girlfriend beta deck. That's so good. That's so good. All right.
As you do, mate, as you do. Now, I know that other card games do use other peripherals, and look, I play other card games. I know this. It's not that I know it. I just do. Like use dice in other card games. Other people, there are apps that are used in other card games. Weiss
Right.
doesn't allow. Weiss doesn't let you take notes. You can't use memory markers, or at least in the high level events. Like for example, if you had if you bought a dice tower, which is like a little tower of usually 20-ish dice, and if you just use one of those dice to mark where your climaxes are in stock, that's illegal. That's not allowed.
Yes.
Is there any purpose for that sort of thing in Weiss? Because I haven't been able to think of one. I've not thought of one ever.
A purpose for
Maybe
dice in
well,
Weiss?
you can use it to high roll and decide who goes first, I suppose. But
I've seen people use it to demarcate like power. So like power or like I've used dice to like basically mark like a card that I've used an effect for, like power pumps or something. I've done that before. You're right though. Generally, far less common to see stuff like that in Weiss, especially compared to like something like Pokemon, where like you know you need
yeah,
dice for damage counters. Yeah, you use dice as
you
damage
also
counters. So
you do use dice for rolling
yeah,
chips.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
You like whenever my opponent mulligans, I use them to remind myself to draw extra cards.
Yep. Yep.
I actually have a visual reminder of when I start a game. I look at my dice and I immediately associate that with putting out prize cards because I've lost too many games to not having prize
Oh.
cards up the side in the game.
Oh.
That's just an association that I've made myself have. But like Weiss doesn't have that.
No.
Some I have seen in Japan, there was one time in locals where I saw a guy with a D20. He would use the D20 to figure out how many climaxes he had in his waiting room. Like every time a climax went in, he
Oh.
rolled the
Wait.
D20 up by one.
That's good.
Yes, but he also stacked all his climaxes on the bottom anyway. So it's
Okay.
like
Well,
I don't really know why you're doing that.
Well, I think
But
the
that is
dice idea is cool. Wait. I should do that.
it is a neat idea because it's like
I
your opponent can have that open knowledge without as well. But I think you need to be careful. If your opponent knows that's what it's representing and you misrepresent it, then well, that's
right, of
actually
course.
technically still it's still technically on the opponent, but you don't want to cause arguments in that vein, right? That's probably not what you do.
So I believe you can. I think you get like a warning in regular events, and you get a game loss in like higher level events
Yeah,
for
misrepresenting open
misrepresenting.
information.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what your intent is. If you misrepresent like that, that does happen. So either make sure you do it properly or just don't do it at all, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. So in that regard, there are other things as well. Like some people use damage counters. Some people, I mean, that's really it, huh? There's not a huge amount else that you can really use. So I think going from the top, let's maybe talk about what we prefer in terms of brands and
Oh,
what like.
you can use dice when you get your picture taken. When your deck gets its picture taken for topping locals, you can use dice to notate how many
Numbers.
copies of a certain card you're
Yeah.
running. Yeah.
That gets really stupid though, because that just means every single card has a dice on it.
There's not that many individual cards in Weiss deck.
It
Yeah.
works in Pokemon because you just use it for energy cards and nothing else. I don't know if I'd bother with Weiss. I'd rather do the thing the Japanese do, where they have like one portrait card and then the others are landscaped behind it,
Sure.
because that's pretty easy, I think. I guess you could use dice that way. It might be a little irritating to do.
I only
foresee
mention
that
it. I only mention because I've seen recently. I've seen, or not even recently. I've seen like Japanese. I've seen sorry, not Japanese. I meant I've seen people do that for Japanese locals occasionally.
I mean, I've seen Japanese locals where their deck profile is literally them spreading their deck once across their playmat, and all you can see is like 1 centimeter of the left side of every card. So I don't know, man. Some people out there.
Anyways,
So
what we
let's
use.
talk about yeah. What do we use? Like, what regular sleeves would you pick, given a infinite selection of everything available right now?
I like katanas. Yeah.
Respectable.
Ultimate guard katanas. They remind me basically I used to like Kames Capromats a lot. But they got kind of bad, like they just like reformulate their sleeves just randomly. So like they were good for a really long time, then they became really bad or just randomly, and apparently they're good again.
It's information I covered
yes, I
earlier,
watch
right?
I watch Tolarian Community College videos. Yes, but like, I just don't want to. I really don't want to deal with that. So if I'm just like gonna buy a random brand, I'm just gonna buy katanas because I think they are pretty consistent and they don't do weird stuff like just randomly change
Hmm.
the way they make their sleeves for no reason.
Hmm.
Though I will admit they do kind of it could be a little taller. Um,
Hmm.
they're like a little like they're slightly like too short. So like cards when I sleeve something in katanas, they kind of like jump up to the top of the sleeve a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, that's what
It's
happens a
because
lot with katanas.
I don't know about tall, but I think it's more that they're too tightly packed together, so like they naturally push themselves up slowly.
That
You
might be the
get that with
case too. Yeah.
Ultra Pros as well, unfortunately. A lot of it is because we play with Weiss cards, which are like really thick cardstock. It was super bad with Final Fantasy cards because those are super thick, and you have
Oh.
cards like protruding out a lot. I did find that with katanas. I found that with basically everything except original Formula Dragon Shields, like not the matte ones. And I'll talk about original Dragon Shields soon, don't you worry. But I think that might be part of the issue rather than them not being tall enough.
Sure,
That's,
sure.
that's, that's what I think. So katanas are your preference.
For regular sleeves that are not
Yeah.
character sleeves, yeah.
I
Or not even character sleeves.
I think that's
But yeah.
very reasonable. I like katanas myself. I think my old faithful standard is still just Dragon Shield mats. Uh,
Those are nice too.
I There was a time where I actually cared about what color I used. For a while, I used only petrol color, which is this weird turquoise color. And since then, I haven't cared. I think, like I said earlier, my most recent pack was purple, and they last forever. And they shuffle well. They have nice card feel. They don't slip very much. No mats slip that much, but they're okay. But if I'm only using a pack of sleeves for one tournament and just one tournament, and I get a new pack on the day, I would probably get Eclipses. Because those ones have the best out of the pack shuffle feel by far, in my opinion. I think that they are. The problem with Ultra Pro Eclipses is that they scuff super easily. They get damaged incredibly easily. And I'm someone who made a set of Dragon Shield mats last reasonably for over like 2 years.
That is impressive.
Eclipses Eclipses break for me in like a couple of tournaments.
Oh, couple
And
tournaments?
I'm a
Oh, you're
yeah,
lucky.
like I'm a very light shuffler. I mass shuffle. I let cards fall naturally. I don't push them or force them or anything. And Eclipses still scuff to the point where as if I was the judge, I would mark a lot of these sleeves as marked. So I would never use Eclipses for more than a couple tournaments. And it's a shame because they are kind of expensive. Like I know someone, a friend of ours, a mutual friend, Christian Yarbaka. I think it was him who said it. It might have been someone else. He can't go more than one tournament without Eclipses doing something bad to
Yeah,
him.
I think that's generally been my experience too. Eclipses
Yeah.
for me are like a live in the day of the tournament sleeve, essentially.
Yes. And they do shuffle really nicely, and I like the
They
white
are
ones
so
especially.
nice. Yeah, I agree. I can't disagree. They're like some of the nicest sleeves fresh out of pack that I've ever used. I think they're like
But
but
yeah,
then
but
like
value for money, they're terrible because they cost about as much as like a pack of
yes.
KMC Hypermats or
It
or
costs like
Katana.
$10. I think $10 or something. Something like that. For a
Well,
pack
it's a
of
little bit more for
60?
AED.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it'd be 65, I think. I think it'd be 65.
It might be 60 with like
Oh
Ultra Pro
wait,
does this.
Eclipses are
They don't like they always include like extra sleeve. They don't like
no.
say
Eclipses have to be more than that. Eclipses were meant for Magic, and Magic is 60 card deck with a 15 card sideboard. It's either 80 or 100, I'm pretty sure.
wait a second. Might be 80 actually. Okay, you're okay, I think you're right. I think it is 80.
Yeah, whatever it is. They're just bad value because they scuff super easily, in my opinion. Um, KMC Hypermats are good as well. There are again, they had the redemption story, the big dramatic diva moment I had earlier. I am now okay with them. I won't buy them, but if someone hands them to me, or if I have no other choice, I'm not going to be upset, like I would be with some cards. Okay. Are there any sleeve brands you would not use? Like you would just straight up refuse?
No.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I
I
I
I
cannot. I can't. You go on.
I just don't. Yeah. It's just I don't have a preference. Yeah, in that way.
Have you
That's it.
used non-matte Dragon Shields before?
Yeah, I have. They're fine.
They are not fine for me. They are
They're
the worst.
fine. They're fine. You are such a diva.
They are
Oh my
impossible,
goodness.
impossible to shuffle without them falling off the table. And yeah, they will survive the apocalypse. I will acknowledge that. But they are unusably slippery for at least the first good while, and they cost so much, and no, I'm just not a fan. And I already talked about how much I dislike
There goes our
official
Dragon Shield
Pokemon.
sponsorship.
Dragon Shield mats are great. Didn't I just say they're my old faithful, my standby?
Yeah, but if you know,
Uh,
you can't talk shit about you know the
I would
breadwinner
own.
like that.
I feel like anyway. I also would never ever use official Pokemon sleeves.
Never ever.
From like a regionals, like the Pokemon Center ones, you can use if you double sleeve them. The non-official ones, you can probably use them if you double sleeve. But my God, I am not gonna double sleeve free event sleeves from Pokemon. Those are terrible. Oh God, it's so bad. Okay, maybe a more important question: oversleeves. Which ones do you prefer?
Right. I just
You still
use
a
I still
Z's a
use
Z's
I still use Z's, yes. But I do like well, I guess I can't say that I like them anymore because they don't make them anymore, but I do like broccoli mats. Like,
fan?
I have some decks sleeved in broccoli mats, and then most of them are in Z's, yeah. But I do like broccoli mats. I think the shuffle feel is really nice. And they're like relatively thin. They're like much thinner than Z's, so it's just a kind of a pain to get the right size sometimes, which is why I, generally, because Z's it's like super easy. They just come in like the one
Yes.
size, and yeah, and like a lot of people, there are like a lot of places to buy them now, actually. Which is not really the case for broccolis. It's kind of annoying to get those, so and it'll be even more annoying to get those in the future. So I'm pretty sure I'm never like it's unfortunate, but I'm probably just gonna be using Z's. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're fine. Z's are uh some people have an issue with their hardness, and that's fair. Like they are quite hard. I don't mind them myself. The other ones that I really don't mind are the Yuyute brand oversleeves.
You like those? Oh man.
It's rather that I am fine with those.
Sure.
If you gave
That's
me a
that's a good way to
choice,
put it.
yeah, because like those are the cheapest oversleeves on the market by far, unless you're buying bulk from Taobao or whatever, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say I have seen some of the so people I know people who do like group Taobao orders and they have or AliExpress and they have there's some not bad Chinese manufactured sleeves that,
Mm.
people use. They're not
But
bad. They're not bad.
Yute at one point they would throw in oversleeves with their order. You could actually order them on
They don't do
oversleeves. They
that
were like,
anymore,
no,
unfortunately.
they don't. But you could order the packs for 400 yen, I believe it was, and
It might
they'd
still
be a
be
pack
you
of
might still be able to do
60.
that.
Maybe. But they also just all the cards you order from them just come in. Look, so my conspiracy theory is that the sleeves that they put the cards in to ship to you are like the reject over sleeves, the ones that are cut a bit badly, because those are never cut perfectly.
uh,
Um, it doesn't matter for like casual decks, but it does matter for like real decks you bring to a tournament. Those ones I will either put Z's I have, or I will get like if I have to, I'll get KMC character guards. They're another brand that are acceptable, but they're like are basically the same as Yuyute ones. They just cost more. Uh, I think I'd recommend Yanaman Z's as well. I think that's what I'd go for. Perfect
Uh,
fits. Do you have any opinions on those?
I think the ones I like are the KMC. Which ones are they called?
I,
They're
I like the side ins now. Side in perfect sleeves, I think is what they're called. They're from KMC.
yeah, yeah. I like those.
Dragon Shield ones are
The
fine.
most, I believe.
I've never used the Ultimate Guard ones. I've never used the Ultra Pro ones. But the KMC ones are fine, and the Dragon Shield ones are fine, and they're only a little bit more expensive than the Ultimate Guard ones, so I don't really see a reason to get anything else, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else?
Now,
There's like something else I want. Another sleeve? No, never mind. Actually, I've got nothing.
that's alright. Do you have any specific sleeves, peripherals, anything else you want to show off?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't either. I think
Um,
uh,
yeah,
the majority of
nothing
my
like
collection is not with me right now anyway.
nothing like brand related. I mean, most of my sleeves are like Dojin sleeves, so and they're all just
Hmm.
like kind of the same in terms of
That's
quality,
actually
right?
a good thing to maybe touch on. If you're somebody who wants to get these nice Dojin sleeves, they're sick of the Ultra Pro or the official branded sleeves that are literally just stock art on a character on a opaque color background with a logo in the bottom left. If that you don't want that, how would you go about buying Dojin sleeves?
It used to be pretty annoying, but now it's like pretty easy. A lot of COVID basically forced most of the popular Dojin content creation circles to like um offer their products online. I think the website's called Booth. It's run by
Mhm.
is it run by Bai? I honestly have no idea. They're run by someone.
I don't think Booth
Uh
is. They might be affiliated with Bai and Tensor. I don't think they're run by them though.
it's Pixiv. They're associated with Pixiv. They're like
Yeah, that makes
they're like it's like
sense.
made by Pixiv, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a creators selling
Uh, so yeah, most artists now are part of like a group, and the groups have stores, online stores that they open periodically. You just need to find out when the event is happening, and then try your luck when the shop opens because they do limited runs, and it's really like that part is still really annoying. But actually buying the stuff for reasonable prices is pretty doable now. Um, when I was like really into getting like like Dojin sleeves, I would usually have to get them off like Yahoo auctions or Mercari or from someone who's like in Japan, which was always like more expensive than I would like. Honestly, like paying more than $50 for sleeves is just nah.
them.
It's terrible. Um, so yeah, it's pretty accessible at the
Yeah,
moment.
there are also a lot of people who buy these or have people buy them for them just for resale on other sites.
Yep.
And while the prices will have a bit of a hike, oftentimes you'll save that on the shipping. And I think more importantly, if you live in a time zone not compatible with Japan's release times, you will not have to ruin your sleep
Mm.
schedule for it either. That's
Yep. That is yes. I
yeah.
can
So
confirm.
we both moderate various groups and servers and stuff for this game, and we always encourage people to sell card supplies. We There was a point where there was debate: should we be deleting this stuff or not? But I think in the end we just decided it's fine. So you can often find people selling those supplies. They often have a big pile of them, often going back many years. if you just got into the hobby, then have a look. Maybe you'll find something you like. But if you're somebody who likes, bargain bin diving, you're the sort of person who likes to root through op shops, and I mean, if you play Weiss, you are probably not the demographic who likes to shop for clothes for hours and hours on end. But you get what I mean, right? If you're somebody who just likes to browse, uh, if,
Nice.
you- if you're
I
somebody who,
damn. You
yeah,
didn't have to.
what?
Oh
I think
man,
it's strictly true, right? Like
That's pretty. Uh, yeah,
stereotypes,
sure. Yeah,
maybe, but
maybe,
like,
maybe. Uh, I just find that really
look,
funny.
please don't. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like, please, if that's what you like to do, you like to go to op shops in your free time, then by all means. I
No,
just think
I
not
mean,
much an
like,
overlap, you know.
I mean the implication that Vice players don't dress well or don't care about how they
Oh,
look.
that's.
Oh, which I guess is like,
I
because
don't think that's what it means.
I associate bargain bin like clothes shopping as like a. I don't think that's a negative thing. I think it's a
No, it's
positive thing.
not.
I think
It
it's really
is. It's a good
positive.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, but at the same time, I think like for clothes, a pretty significant amount of the Weiss community is probably not looking to find exact wardrobe coordination, right? But look, anyway, if you are somebody who likes looking through bargain bins, you can find you can go on Yahoo Auctions. You can't buy directly from there unless you have a Japanese bank card or something, but you can browse it through services like Bai, using English even. You don't even have to translate. Or other sites like Mercari.co.jp or Amazon.co.jp. They sometimes have stuff on there. And you can just search the name of the property you want and the word sleeve. And sometimes you'll find stuff that you probably wouldn't find if you didn't go digging. And that can be a very expensive way to spend a night. I've done that many times with both sleeves and deck boxes and all sorts of things, including oversleeves actually. That's something we haven't touched on, but aside from the generic oversleeves, there are actually patterned and themed oversleeves. I think the first series of them were oversleeves designed to go with certain sleeves. So there'd be like a release of a like a clannad sleeve,
Oh
and then
yeah.
an oversleeve with like the emblem of the school and a notable quote from it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a couple years ago they did a run where there were a number of very well-known quotes from anime that they put on the sleeves. There was a Gurren Lagann one. There are countless Yu-Gi-Oh ones. Like there are just a bunch that say Oren or Turn and stuff like that. And maybe my favorite one is the oversleeve that just has the Zawa sound effects from Kaiji, which is now super relevant because Kaiji's in, was it Rebirth or something ridiculous like that. Uh, but patterned oversleeves, I think the only consistent source for those is hunting them down on Yahoo Auctions and Amazon Japan because you don't find that much demand for them, but they are really cool to have. So that's another thing you can look for. Now I'm thinking, did I? How many people did I manage to insult in the last 5 minutes? I wonder. That's okay. I didn't mean any offense. If you got insulted, I apologize. You probably
Uh,
dress very well, and your wardrobe is great, and you're definitely not a person who prioritizes just comfort over looking good like I am, because that's definitely the sort of person I am. Um, okay. So I think we've shit posted enough about card supplies for one day. Is there anything else you want to add before we call it there?
uh, no, I think we covered everything. Hmm,
It
everything.
is an interesting topic. It's another expression of who you are, right? Like
Yeah,
what
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of person you are. I think if you do care about expressing your love for certain characters or what have you,
Or
and I
Nicolas
think this is
Cage.
or Nicolas Cage, yes. Look, if I wanted to do a Nicolas Cage playmat, I think I would do one with just you know the you don't say face like the
Oh,
you know the
sure.
one I'm talking about, right? Like the meme. I would do that.
Yeah,
I think
that
that would be
one
funny.
or the bees. I think I would like to, if I had or the bees, not the bees.
Yes, yes.
Not the
But,
bees.
but
No.
card supplies are a great way to express what you like as well. I think this is super relevant in the age of Hololive, where everyone has the what's the Japanese word again? Like your favorite idol or whatever it's called.
Oh, Oshi.
Yeah, that one, whatever it
I
means.
think it is. I think
Uh,
it's
yeah,
right.
yeah. That sounds right. Everyone who has their
Yeah,
own
someone means a
Oshi.
person I support.
Yeah, so if you want to support, say, Amane Kanata, for example, then what better way to do so than with a playmat, sleeves, and maybe even a deck box of her to
Agreed.
to go over your deck that has Amane
Uh,
Kanata in it. Or if you are somebody who just like your deck doesn't have to be related to them, you can just demonstrate you are somebody who still likes original Love Live, or you really like I don't know, Yotsuba from Quince or something on your card supplies. And again, you're already knee deep in this weeb game. Like, there's nothing wrong with having things you like, so why not show what you like? If you're somebody who just wants to play for the competitive side and just wants to sleeve in, you know, Ultra Pro Eclipses or whatever, then well, that's fine as well. Like, we're not going to judge you, or at least I'm not going to. I
uh,
think it's really bad if you judge people for having like non-character sleeves. I think that's just prejudice for no good reason.
I had a friend who doesn't play the game anymore, but he had this. What brand was it? I think it was Ultra Pro. He just had this Ultra Pro white mat. It was just the color white, nothing else on it except for the Ultra Pro logo. That's what he would use for everything.
Mm.
And we don't our friend group would always make fun of the playmat because he just would never replace it, and he used it for quite a few years, so it became like an off-white eventually. He even used it. He basically here's what he did. He used it as his desk mat too, for like his mouse keyboard as well. I,
Oh,
he would just
I
you
have
know
a I you gone.
it was just it's just pretty funny. Uh,
I had
he's
a
like the
similar
antithesis
mat.
of the weeb who has so many mats. They don't know what to do with them.
I had
You
a
know.
similar mat, which was just some I don't know if it was official art, but it was like stylized art of Ryugi Shiki from Kara no Kyokai. And it was like a dusty whitish color because that's just the color associated with Void Shiki. And as
Okay.
I used it over the years, it
Uh
slowly
oh.
got slightly more like
Brown.
browned.
All
But like
right.
that wasn't a problem because all it did was change it from looking like Void Shiki to Void Shiki, except she's been painted on parchment. And that was interesting. Like, it still
Like a
looks like a nice playmat. The art is nice, and it doesn't look disgusting or anything, but it's definitely faded, and it still looks okay. So I guess I got lucky in that regard, huh? Uh,
bit.
okay. So I think we'll probably call it there. This has been a much more casual episode of basically shooting the shit. Give us feedback if you think it was stupid, if you think it was great, if you want to hear more storytime episodes, or if you have other questions or comments you might have, then by all means, you can contact us via the regular channels, whether you're watching this on YouTube or via Spotify. Um, yeah, it's a pleasure as always. It's a very interesting topic to cover out of the blue, really.
Yeah. I had this was nice for me too. I enjoyed talking about sleeves.
Definitely less preparation needed. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. See you in the next one, guys.